Oh, what's that for? Oh, you're going to do that
This
on me?
is your buzzer.
Well, I
Now, on
understand.
this show, because you do this on your show, he has a rule where you cannot say the name of any politician, or else you're muted for 5 minutes. But, well, he's the interviewee, so, I mean, we can't really mute him.
Well, this is very hard. On the show, I have to play the moderator. And I have to
know.
be in the middle.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to the host of the Third Side Comvo podcast. Do you want any idea a podcast host does? Well, let's talk to this guy and find out what he does. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Bob Phipps.
Thank you very much. Tiberius, what the hell are we talking or what are we talking about today?
Okay, so you're as the host of the Third Side Comvo podcast. So how did you get the idea of running a podcast?
Well, probably actually turning it into a podcast, probably more your dad's idea. I just thought it'd go straight to TV, and of course, we'd already be in every major market and around 80 different countries. But you may think that when you're doing a podcast, but it doesn't seem to actually act that way.
No, I can say from experience. So why do you think that this podcast should stand out over all the other podcasts out there?
Well, there's so many out there that are incredible, and I'm not actually sitting around watching podcasts all day, but apparently the younger people I talk to, they watch it. It just came to down doing a podcast because the technology was there. Your dad helped me with this thing. I mean, my God, I'd be nowhere without your dad. But the whole thing is I knew it needed to be talked about. It's all about politics, and it's all about realizing that the politicians are never going to save us, that we have to talk about these things ourselves, because I grew up at a time when you were allowed to talk about politics. We talked about them in the kitchen, in front of on the kitchen table. We constantly talk politics. So now the new way, there's no kitchen table anymore because nobody has dinner together, if they even eat at one place, forget actually having a kitchen table. But I guess the podcast was the way to go.
Huh. So why politics instead of, say, another subject like sports?
Okay. Actually, I've had a lot of people go, why don't you do one on sports? But everybody's doing one on sports. What I came up with was something a little bit unique in that when I was teaching back at Full Sail, which is a university here in Orlando, it was about 20 years ago, and this was during the George Bush era. And I could see the tribalness between the Republicans and the Democratic kids back then. I call them kids. They were, somewhere between 18 and 25 or whatever. And it had gotten very tribal then. And I realized that I could do a seminar very easily if I just did one thing. We talk about politics without talking about the politicians. The specific politicians are what causes, and in fact, what most political discourse is these days is Trump did this, Biden did that. Well, Trump did this, well, Biden did that. That is the way discourse works. So I said, oh, what's that for? Oh, you're going to do that
This
on me?
is your buzzer.
Well, I
Now, on
understand.
this show, because you do this on your show, he has a rule where you cannot say the name of any politician, or else you're muted for 5 minutes. But, well, he's the interviewee, so, I mean, we can't really mute him.
Well, this is very hard. On the show, I have to play the moderator, and I have to
know.
be in the middle.
But because he did say it 4 times, or 4 names, we buzz it 4 times. So I'm going to keep this right in my hand right here just in case if I need to press it.
Okay, so this is going to be as tough as it is for the panelists on my show, because the way our show works is we get 2 people kind of on the left of an issue, 2 people kind of on the right of an issue, and we discuss it, without the direct reference to any politician that is current, alive. We've talked about dead ones, we've talked about Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
You didn't buzz me. See, he didn't buzz me on that one.
I didn't
It
buzz
is a current politicians, because the current politicians' discourse is what's causing the problem. So 20 years ago, I realized this, and now we're sitting here today. So
Yeah.
that's how it got here.
So how long did you work on the idea before you decided to start recording?
Well, since I said I started on the 20s, and it started just before COVID, right around COVID hitting, so I guess that would tell you I've been thinking about this thing for 15 years. I would post some rants on Facebook where I would slam both of the candidates and do stuff like that. And people watched it, and they loved it because I was basically trying to come from a middle ground and recognizing that the politicians are the problem.
I forget, who were the candidates again?
I'm not going to say.
Exactly.
This was a few years ago.
Good. I'm testing his.
Yeah.
Testing his
I can't believe I'm
knowledge.
under the same. Now, we call this Uber discourse, is actually the form of discourse whereby you leave out talking about any particular politician, what they said or did, and that's it. And it works. People are actually coming together now and listening to other people on the arguments on the merits of an issue. It does get a little bit in there. People do. They get buzzed on my show. There's
They
no
do get
question about it.
buzzed.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make
They
sure I
do.
never get buzzed again. No, I have no problem not saying any name of a politician.
Yeah. Except for the 4 ones that we had earlier.
Well, but I was trying to explain where
Well,
it was going.
okay,
Don't
yeah,
worry
yeah.
about that.
Well, as the
he
host-
can always edit it, so don't worry if we go on a
So,
little
as
too
the
long.
host, are you able to put your thoughts forward about your opinion?
Ooh, that one's a tough one. It starts when I try to figure out what the topic is going to be, and because everybody comes from bias. That's all there is to it. And you recognize that. There's a bias of how you grew up. There's a bias of how you went to school. There's a bias of what you read, and that type thing. And who you're closest to, your peers.
Yeah, that's
let's
true.
face it. People got a lot, go in step with other people. So yeah, that is an issue.
So, what type of viewer do you think that this podcast is directed towards?
Well, actually, I really hope it's just directed toward any age group, and that's why you've been on the show, and you've done extremely well on the show. You actually have, and I'd love to get more young people because it's really all about just recognizing that you don't have to do the normal type of discourse, which gets you nowhere. And if you want, I'll tell you one area. Like, for example, I go and give you an area here. January 6th. I don't know if you heard about January 6th. It was a pretty big deal to a lot of people. And so what happens is you could take people that there are people out in this country that believe that it wasn't a big deal. There are people that believe it was, and certainly, that they probably both have valid arguments. Maybe that tells my position as it is now. But the point is, you could lock them in a room and tell them that they don't get to eat unless they come together on this issue, and it ain't going to happen. So, but the problem is, how much time did we spend talking about that? It got us nowhere. It tends to harden people's positions when you are arguing the way that the normal politics, MSNBC, Fox, CNN, all of those things, that's the type of arguing they do.
So, what is the coolest subject or show that you enjoyed doing?
Well, I'll probably go back to the ones where I know we have total agreement, and it's really funny when I say total agreement. Agreement on pretty much all of the issues that aren't political. Immigration, for example. We've done a couple of shows on immigration, and during the COVID time, we were doing testing of panelists and stuff like that. And pretty much everybody agrees on most of the issues on immigration. Also on police reform, most people agree. Voter fraud, they agree. So I actually know that because for many years, I've got my own CPA firm as my day job because, trust me, this podcast is not paying for me to sit here with Tiberius, okay? But literally, it was just something where I just have always talked to people about politics. I always have, and I'm willing to listen to them.
So, how long do you spend to just make one episode?
Well, there you go. Well, it's a weekly episode. We tape on Thursday nights. You can actually get on and get in what's called a peanut gallery where you can watch on Zoom the show as it's actually being taped, make very brief comments, and then in the after show you can tell us what we said wrong, which there are so many times because you wouldn't believe how fast 30 minutes goes by.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does go quick, I can say from experience.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that does line up perfectly because we have Wednesday afternoons, Thursday nights, a 2-day special.
Yeah, your dad's booked up on both those days.
Yeah, he
So
is.
It's pretty cool.
So, what is one thing you think kids should know about being a host of a political podcast?
God, don't be afraid to listen to other people. They actually make sense, and you gotta try to dig into where they, because they're not idiots. The other person you're talking to is not a fool, but that's the way, normal discourse is. It's you're an idiot, you're evil, you're stupid, or whatever, but they're not. They're regular people. So take the time to listen to them.
Well, here seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut. That's a wrap. Just use that.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Bob Phipps. Bob is the host of Third Side Comvo podcast. So Bob, what's the hardest part about running a political podcast?
Probably just staying on it. If you really, really believe it, it takes time, and I wish I could put more time into it, and I'm sure everybody that has a business or podcast probably feels the same way.
Now, you have been on my show a few years ago, but how has it changed over the years?
Well, you're now close to being taller than me, where you was a shrimp before. Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about your show?
It's about my show and how it's
Well,
grown. Like a
well,
few different episodes, you know?
I think, like anything, the more you practice, the better at it you get. Okay? When I first got on camera, I stunk. Okay? Joe Boy, your dad would just, I just know he wanted to say more than he did.
I remember those days.
I'm not expressive enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. Basically, we're not Joe. That's our problem.
Yeah, this is what happens behind the scenes. We're critically criticized by our producer. Yeah, good.
Well, like, we got this, the talent's got to stick together,
Yeah,
right?
man, the talent's got to stick together. But I will say, if you want, Dad, you can leave that in. In fact, I would encourage you.
I have let your dad talk. I mean, now, we're down a speaker,
He has
and,
been on
he'll
your
have
show
to
a few
do.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was even on my show. And
He
had a
has
part-
trouble
yeah.
not saying his opinion. There's no question about that.
That's
As a
for
moderator, I'm not so sure, but he's great as a panelist.
So, what are some of the skills that kids should be learning to be able to run their own podcast?
Well, the cool thing about it is it forces you to organize, and it forces you to prioritize. Because basically I've got to get 4 people every week, and we've got some incredible panelists that come on week after week, and they're starting to develop a friendship, which is really what the show's all about. It's not about 4 unknown people getting together and trying to get together on politics. It's talking about this is a way you can talk to your family at Thanksgiving. Just make this as a rule, the Uber discourse rule. We are not going to mention any politician. And you actually could talk politics with them, believe it or not.
Huh. So, what are some of the greatest challenges that you've had to overcome while making your podcast?
Well, the time is one thing. I would say that, probably the majority of the podcasts out there, the vast majority of the podcasts out there don't make a nickel. Therefore, a person better have some other income. And my other income happens to be a CPA firm, which happens to be incredibly busy. So that's the biggest thing keeping me. That would go back to the one before that on the challenge, right? Yeah, exactly.
So, I've been a panelist on your show. Well, do you think kids can have opinions about politics?
I think they should. Well, put it this way. I think that we need to listen to them. Now,
I know I do.
Well, and you're around it a lot. And what have you got out of it? I'm going to ask you.
Wow.
Your views on politics probably different than your kids in your class?
Probably because they don't really pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you invite me over for Sunday dinner or when I'm just
I basically
watching,
bribe you with food. Exactly. He's
Yeah,
a
or maybe
growing
just
boy.
sometimes
Trust
just
me, he can
randomly
eat a lot
watch
of
the
food. We have
news.
to actually put fences around the food, and then we remove the fence and say, okay, you can now go and finish the rest of it.
They stopped me from getting seconds too early because I eat it
Exactly. No question.
Yeah, but it's the only time, or when I'm just randomly watching the news, or just random times.
Well, and let's face it, kids don't watch the news anymore. They're watching YouTube. They're watching, Instagram, all these other things.
Yeah, and the
is what
only
they're
reason
watching.
why they actually know about politics is just because Trump. Trump.
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason why.
Well, one of our favorite panelists who's from San Francisco, he's a liberal. We love him to death. In fact, he was in town just recently for a golf tournament or a golf event, and so we got to spend time with Ted. And Ted even said it today. He basically, your dad actually emailed him back, and the statement was something. Ted was basically saying, you're right. I sometimes make everything about what somebody else did or said that particular day. In fact, he wakes up every morning, since he's out on the West Coast, he wakes up every morning, 3 hours after everybody here on the East Coast, and he's like, what did he do today? And I'm like, I don't wake up with that type of concern, but I guess he does.
No, I help on your podcast by managing the timers. Now, why are the timers important?
Well, timers are important just because we're trying to get people to be a little briefer, and you can watch some past shows, and we had some people go on and drag, and Joe Boy flashes this stopwatch up on the screen and stuff like that to get them shut up, because what happens is people don't realize that most people only have a very short attention span, and if you want to make a point, you want to make it quickly and get out. And leave that silence there. People tend to go on, and you've lost them.
Yeah,
and
then they go to different subjects, and then they go to different
attention
things.
span?
Pretty good.
Basically a gnat?
Better than a goldfish.
Better than a gnat. Okay, got it.
Better than a goldfish.
Okay,
better than most children
No,
born
that
from
is
2011
true. Well, partly
to
because you got your
2040.
dad with a whip on you, basically. I can hear
Well,
that.
he's not with a whip.
Well, it's
He's
not a
just
whip.
with the internet button.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. He controls your internet
He
time.
does.
Oh, exactly.
Well, do you find that certain subjects cause people to take more time than others?
Oh, no question about it. Yes. And some of it probably more has to do with if they've got some kind of personal experience that they want to share. Well, I'm sorry, but it's hard to tell a personal story in under 30 seconds.
Yeah. But where do you see your podcast in 5 years?
I just want more people seeing it. You're supposed to have an actual goal, like this many people and, and all this other stuff. No, we've got to start doing the stuff we've got to do. We've got to start getting comments on the site. There are things we know we need to do. Continue to get more people, continue to get good people that will talk and somebody would be one to listen to.
Now, I know you from Rotary. How do you use the lessons from Rotary while hosting your podcast?
That's a good one. Well, Rotary's all about service. And if I were to take this and say, look, my service, toward the country, I hate to, be that big of a thing, but is going to be maybe finding another way for discourse in this country. Maybe that's my legacy.
Well, who can you say has helped or inspired you the most?
Well, help the most is your dad. Okay? There's no question.
Well, yeah.
It's not. But I look to my parents, and I look to the fact that they were involved in politics when I was a kid, and I've been to election parties. My wife and I have put on election parties. To me, elections and politics are very important, but we've got to hold our politicians accountable because they're the problem. They're the problem. I mean, because if you listen to a regular person, what is he going to say about politicians? They suck. Excuse the language, but they're pretty bad, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. What is the best advice that you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
Well, that one's a tough one. I would have to say sticking with it is probably the biggest advice, and that's been received from lots of different people. In other words, if you believe in something, then the only way to stop you is by you stopping yourself.
Yeah. Well, what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
Well, if it's something you believe in, if it's something that, hits you in the heart, that is something that you believe strongly in, that other people ought to hear, maybe, then do it. Then just keep doing it. Don't stop.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we're back with Bob Phipps, the host of Third Side Comvo and a CPA.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a CPA as well. What does that mean?
Well, CPAs, they do different things, but what I happen to do is what most do, which is tax returns. You know, those things that you have to file every year. Now, most people actually, believe it or not, tax returns are a good thing. It means they can get their $3,000 back or they can get their money back. Other people, which is most of the ones I have, are the ones that are paying the taxes and therefore don't necessarily like it. So when they come to see me, it's like them coming to see the dentist. In fact, I tell them, don't go to see me and the dentist in the same day. That's way too much stress for any one person.
So this is kind of your busy time of year then, right?
It's really bad. Plus, we've had 3 straight hurricanes that have changed deadlines around. But yeah, this is my real crazy time of year, but I can't stop doing the podcast.
So what's more fun, the podcast or doing taxes?
Oh, well, I don't know. That one's a tough. Let me think about that.
That's a
one.
tough one.
Well,
that
yeah.
You have to think about it?
No, not really.
That's what I thought. So what is it?
What?
What is it? What's more fun?
Well,
Podcast or
we'll
doing
go
taxes?
with the podcast, even though I do try to have fun with my clients, and that does mitigate that a bit.
Well, that's not doing the taxes. The taxes is putting in the numbers.
I know. Yeah, but if you do the taxes creatively, I get them back more money, and then they're happy. You know, get them back more money, and if somebody else would have done the taxes. That's always my goal, but I don't always reach it.
So, Bob, what was that one thing that happened in your career that you did not expect?
Wow. That I did not expect in my career, but we're meaning about Third Side Combo, aren't we? One side in my thing.
Any
that happened in
career.
well, you're talking about me as a CPA or Third Side Combo. It's a little bit tough. Oh my God! One thing that happened that you did not expect. You know what's funny is, I don't think back when I was growing up, there were expectations I was going to go to college, or expectations I was going to have a career, and that's what I did. I think there's so much anxiousness and everything else with young people in the world today, wondering what are they going to do, what are they supposed to do. This was the path I took. So I actually, to tell you the truth, as far as not expect, I haven't had it.
Huh.
I guess I'm still waiting for it.
Well, do you think AI has a positive role in business, or are you worried it might take over parts of a job and cost people a living?
Well, actually, the AI is my constant companion now. It helps organize me. Because, let's face it. I mean, certainly AI can make up things. I mean, you can, right now tell it to, give it a basic 15-word plot and say, give me a book in the style of this person, and it'll give you the whole damn book. Well, what good is that? Or what, you didn't do anything for that.
Yeah. But if you could go back in time and give your 13-year-old self advice, what would it be?
Buy more real estate.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, buy more real estate. But we're in Orlando, Florida. Let's face it. If you can't make money in real estate in Orlando, Florida, you got a problem because everybody has wanted to come here.
Yeah.
It's like investing in this country as opposed to other countries is generally better because the country has generally been on, for the past couple hundred years, it's been on a steady upturn.
I mean, Bitcoin was like $10 back then. So.
Well, there you go. I did have a story on that one. I got somebody tried to ransom my firm and wanted 6 Bitcoin. I think it was 6 Bitcoins, and they were $800 a piece at the time. I wish I'd have got him, held on to it, and given the guy the finger, but I didn't. I gave the guy the finger, but I didn't get the Bitcoin.
So, what was the biggest mistake that you've ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Wow. That's a tough one. That's a Dan Rather question, apparently. Yeah. Okay, biggest mistake that I've ever made. Oh, my God. You're getting way too personal there. I guess just it took me a long time to recognize that I had the ability to do whatever I wanted. I think that a lot of people in this world, me included, may have shortcut yourself, on what can be done. And then you get out in the real world and you look at it and you say, these people are no more competent. They're no more whatever. Just do what you want.
Yeah. Well, what do you do for fun when you're not creating?
Well, anything that is physical in nature. I love playing pickleball, even though I've been out of it for a little bit. I just love being in the yard. I love, chopping wood. Anything that actually uses my muscles, because I will say the one downside of a CPA is most of the work is done
Sitting
while
down.
I'm either sitting at a desk, or on the phone, with people. So and when I'm on the phone, I then go outside and walk around. So that's just the way I do it.
So, do you play video games?
None.
Expected that.
Well, hold on. I will play Sudoku, but that's not a video game.
What? On your phone?
No. I don't.
then
No,
no
on
video
the
games.
phone. The problem is speed is always important to me. So if I'm ever playing Sudoku, it's not a game if I can't time myself and see, for example, if I can do the hard under 2 minutes.
Well,
you know,
it
that type
times
thing.
yourself. It times yourself.
No,
by
but on a
itself.
phone though, it's
does
too,
it.
yeah. But look, if show me, you see my phone. I got the iPhone 8. It's like really tiny. Show everybody. This thing is small.
This
You
is
can't
here.
play,
Go to side camera.
You
Dad.
can't play video games on
I mean,
that.
this
don't even
thing
try.
is
I can play it on
really
my
tiny.
iPad, but whatever.
Here's a comparison to it.
No.
Samsung A32. Man, that is a huge difference.
Yeah,
Here. Here. Let's go back to back on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not playing it on there. I would play it on iPad, but I don't know. Something about playing video games on my iPad. At some point in time, I say, am I just wasting my life by playing it?
Yeah, a lot of people say that just
Yeah.
because it's such a big screen. But then you have the Galaxy Z Fold where you can multitask on 2 different things.
Yeah, no, that could be cool. I go back to pinball days, and your dad was even amazed when I said that, but he had just forgotten. He doesn't remember everything as he thinks he does. But that was me at pinball at the CI up at University of Florida. So that was pinball days. Early video games. I mean, at that point in time, that's when Pac-Man. Of course, when
Yeah.
did Pac-Man come out?
Pong.
Yeah, Pong. Certainly,
Around
we
that
played
time.
Pong. Oh yeah, that was pretty exciting.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. The one
Okay.
story, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Well, I wish I'd have known he was coming. I would try to think a little bit. Embarrassing story that's something that no one knows about you, boy. Oh, I hate this. You're right. I can see why one of my other clients and friends didn't like it when you were questioning him. Okay, I'm gonna keep thinking. Go on, and I really will come back to it. I'm gonna try. Yeah,
We have a few questions. We have a
embarrassing.
few
You look
questions.
at it from. I mean, tons of things embarrassing. Just anytime you get on camera, you can do something embarrassing, but not hugely embarrassing. You just get up and go do something again.
Is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you and what you do?
Nah, just if I could do it, anybody can do it. It's just whether you want to. But just, a lot of it is just find your passion. And my passion has always been bringing people together in some way, no matter what I do. I know a lot of really, really good people. That's the cool thing about having a CPA firm. I know a lot of really good people. And so I would be talking politics with them all through the years. And, and so I was able to get a ready group of people to say, hey, wouldn't you be on it, talk politics? And they knew me well enough, so they agreed to do it. Now, I will tell you, actually, I did have a very embarrassing moment. Okay, I just thought of it. When I first started in this thing, I'm thinking we're going to be on CNN in 3 months, or whatever the case may be. It was such a great idea. It was an incredible idea. I mean, to me, it's like the only way to talk politics. I still actually believe that. But my brain had gotten into what I call my manic phase in life. And so there are a number of times when there was embarrassing situations where I just, like one time I broke out laughing. And what it was it was right in a point in time where we were going to plan it out and raise all this money, and then COVID hit. I had $150,000 committed, and COVID hit, but I was still in my manic phase. And so sometimes you get so excited about something.
And you just
And that was definitely embarrassing. And so there's this one time I couldn't tell somebody about it because it was, quote, non-disclosure. And all I could do was laugh. So, I don't know if that's a good thing that I was manic, but I definitely was manic, and it was a little embarrassing thinking about it now. Thank you for bringing that up again. I'd forgotten about it. Yeah.
Well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Wow. I don't think anything. I really don't think anything. I mean, now, you could ask, well, no, because it's really all about the kids. I mean, somehow I've got to develop something that people are going to want to watch, and that's it. Got to watch it. And you have ideas on that. That's why I've gotten you involved.
Do you have a Facebook or website for those who want to follow you?
Well, yeah, we could do that. I mean, obviously, thirdsideconvo.com is the website. And on there, you'll find both short clips and full shows that are, 30-minute shows about different topics. And it's not polished from it's just regular people. It is regular people, in most cases, listening to the other side. And in most cases, there you go. Here, Third Side Combo. I don't know if you can see my shirt there. Can you see my shirt? Yeah, this is me.
I'm talking about what's behind you.
I know that. That's searchsitecombo.com. Right. That's the thing. I know you were
It's
doing
also
that.
on
I
his
got
mic.
it.
We changed
Yeah,
that.
it's on his mic. We got the what's it called? The flag.
Flag, yeah.
We got
Next
the
one.
flag. So that's what it is.
Well, thank you, Bob, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
I can stick around for Math Corners. Yes. I didn't know you were still doing Math Corners.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call your computer solutions today and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad, my computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling your computer solutions at 407-826-0810.
You got to get some sticks. Why don't you get some sticks? Over here?
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Bob, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're just more multi-step word problems. My dad's always going to find new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about making a podcast.
Oh, that's math?
Yeah. Well, Emma and Jake are starting a podcast about science experiments. Each episode takes 3 hours to record and 2 hours to edit. They plan to record 10 episodes in 1 month. How many total hours will they spend recording all 10 episodes? Well, what is the total time that they spend on the podcast in 1 month after editing? And if they split the editing work equally, how many hours will each person spend on the podcast?
Wow, that's pretty good. Oh, you're wanting me to answer that? Well, you moved it pretty quickly, but are you trying to say it's once a month, so it's like 50 hours? Is that what we're saying, and it equally be 25, or is it a multi-step? They're moving this on a teleprompter, so I've seen it for the first time. So go on, show it again. Let's see what it is.
Well, you're actually incorrect. It's not 25.
Well, I knew it wasn't because I haven't seen it. You've moved it up on the teleprompter. I don't even know what the thing is. I have to read these word problems more than once to figure them out. Okay,
I'll go ahead and
3 hours
explain
record,
it.
2 hours. Well, okay, you explain.
I'll go ahead and explain it. Well, first is a
you
real-world
wanted
problem.
me to choose the wrong one, didn't you?
I totally
I knew
did.
you did.
Well, first is a real-world problem because, well, it does take time to produce and record a podcast.
Right.
So to solve this problem, you first have to figure out how much time it takes to record the shows. It takes 3 hours per show times 10, so 30 hours in recording alone. Then you have editing. It takes 2 hours per show, and 10 hours is 2, and so it's 20 hours in editing. Now you have to add them together, so 30 plus 20 is 50 hours to make the podcast. Finally, if they're both putting in the same amount of time, then you take the 20 hours of editing divided by 2, and then add the 30 hours of recording, because both of them are recording. You get each person.
So you're
to spend
saying the
40
editing will be
hours
done
on.
quicker? Yeah, that makes sense.
No, in the editing, it's split between the
It
editing.
makes
Only
perfect
10.
sense.
So it's
Yeah.
10 plus 30.
You gotta think it out.
So
And
it's
you know-
40 hours on the podcast.
Okay, well, I'm pretty upset with this because, this now qualifies, by the way, go back on the most embarrassing moment ever because I used to thrive on word problems when I was when I was his age.
We
Word
got 'em.
problems were my favorite thing in the world because it is true. You use things like this every day.
Yeah, you
And
do.
you've just got to logically think it out, don't you? Yeah. So this is probably my lowest moment.
So, Bob, do you have to plan out how much time you spend on your podcast?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, okay. No, and it varies. Well, you know what? It varies real quickly what topic. If it's a topic nobody wants, I sometimes will say, do you want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, let's find something exciting. So it can change.
Like when you were out in Prague for like a week or two,
When
and
I was gone in Prague and your
Dad did the abortion
And
episode.
Dad did the abortion
good
episode, which I said
Lord.
never do an abortion episode, and he did an abortion
did it
episode.
for ya.
I know it.
My teacher said that I would use math every day. How do you use math with
I
your
never
work?
use math in my work. I'm only a CPA that does tax returns, and the whole dang thing is based on numbers.
I mean, it is
the thing about
taxes.
it, though, is as a CPA, what happens is you really manipulating numbers, or you're knowing what's the effect of this. So it's not like the type of detailed numbers that it's more just knowing that if this happens, then what's the effect of it. So that's where I use it mostly on a day-to-day basis, is the effect of different decisions that people make. What's it going to mean for taxes?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Bob, for your help with Math Corners.
You're very welcome. I'm sad that not. I'm sad. I'm glad I gave you the answer you wanted. That was wrong.
Yep. And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion. It stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. This week, I saw my friend Jordan take charge during our school's group project. Everyone was arguing about whose idea was best. We were getting nowhere, but Jordan didn't pick sides to get frustrated. He was the middle ground, as you could say. And instead, he listened to everyone and found a way to combine our ideas and made sure each person had a role they were good at. By the end of the week, not only did we finish on time, but we also created one of the best presentations in class. That's when I realized that being a leader isn't about being the loudest. It's about bringing people together. So, Bob, did you see his leadership at all this week, other than the Third Side Combo?
Yeah, we'd say I did. It really, it's a matter of me also taking responsibility. Is that on the part of being a leader? Right. Well, that's one of those things. Yeah, probably related.
Of all the Heart of Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
Oh, wow. Well, they've gone. I like the nobility myself.
Okay, well, we should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes, we should.
And it's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Bob Phipps for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about your podcast and Third Side Combo.
Well, thank you very much, Tiberius. I probably need to talk about it more, don't I? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, do you mind giving your social media and website again?
There we go. It is Third Side Convo. It's 3RD Side Convo. .com, and you can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it on the site and go watch it. Please like it and share it. And if you're interested, actually, as these younger ones, I think I need to get Justin to end up being on the show, or that he was the one that was the leader, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because kids, anybody that wants to see this show, and in fact, check out Tiberius on the show, and you'll see that actually adults will listen to kids, believe it or not.
Apparently.
If they're saying something that makes sense.
Well, also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, Canton 98, Soul Radio 24/7, EasyWay TV, and all of the other stations that air my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Oh, wait. This isn't the subscribe button. But, Bob, are you subscribed yet?
I know I am. Oh, that's
Sweet.
not meaning right. I am.
Okay. Oh, and be sure to leave me a comment if you want to be on the podcast. Well, I answer all the comments myself, and be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show. There's Tiberius Boy.
Thanks, sir.